Hello, everyone, and welcome to MentorTalks. My name is Asha Bay, and I'm joining you from the Office of Alumni Affairs in the U.S. Department of State in the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, also known as ECA. Our office opens the door to the global million-strong ExchangeAlumni network, professional development, and grant opportunities. MentorTalks is our virtual series that features exchange program alumni sharing their stories, mentorship, and advice. This is your opportunity to connect with these leaders and mentors, like today's guest, Chinny Nwagbo, a professional basketball player, Sports Envoy, Exchange Alumni, and Director of Peace Players Baltimore.
Hey, how are you all? Thank you. Hey, Asha.
Good. Hi, Chinny. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you again because I've met you several other times, so it's always nice to reconnect. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very well. Just thankful to be here, to be a part of the show. So thank you for having me.
Sure. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your time. And it's always been a pleasure to talk to you, both in person and virtually. And as you mentioned, we were together at Alumni Ties in Minneapolis. That is our Alumni Thematic International Exchange Seminar.
Yes, mouthful, but definitely an amazing experience in March. So I was really excited to be a part of that and just be in the room with some people who are using their lives and platforms to serve something greater than themselves, and just having that connection between the work that we're doing and also, an organic space to make new friends. So it was very, very well put together and just a great professional development experience.
Yes, yes. So what brought you there is that you were a sports envoy for the U.S. Department of State.
Yes.
And so I wanted to ask you about that. What's it been like being a sports envoy for the State Department?
Right. So, well, first I'll say it's been phenomenal. But I started, I think, in 2017. I'm not sure if that is correct, but 2017. And my first experience was through George Mason University, and I think they got the sports visitor and coaching grant. So they brought over, I think, everyone from, I work with the Middle East, I work with Lebanon, I work with Chile, I worked with Azerbaijan, I worked with South Africa, and the list goes on with the visitor program here, the sports visitor program. And then as an envoy, traveling to a plethora of different countries has been truly amazing. I was in Azerbaijan, I was in Albania, I was in Kosovo, and my last trip before COVID was Tanzania in November of 2019, and that changed my life. We were working with a group of young girls from the Maasai tribe, and there we were using the transformative power of sport to create equitable experiences for these young girls, and really kind of get them out of that space that the country has been working to get rid of underage marriage, right? And it is eradicated in some areas of the country, but in some areas, it's still practiced. Even though it's in law, it's still practiced. And so what this space provided, this school provided for these girls, was education. And education was the key to breaking the shackles of underage marriage. And also, not only that, basketball was the source that helped them travel the world and have those equitable experiences, so much so that they were able to get their education and then bring that home, start their own businesses, do things they otherwise would not have done if they didn't have exposure to this most amazing school. And the school, I believe, was called Okiswa School. So that changed my life. I was forever grateful leaving that experience. So being an envoy has truly contributed to my life in an impactful way, so much so that I'm grateful for people and cultures of the world. I think I'm an anthropologist, honestly, from those experiences, and also from my experience playing as a professional athlete for 11 years internationally all over the world. So great experience. I hope to continue on and do far more, as much as I can, but Thank you for just the opportunity. I'm saying thank you to you, but the whole Department of State, so yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, this wasn't the first time you've traveled internationally, because you were a pro basketball player, and you were an international pro basketball player at that.
It was.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I did notice that you went to Syracuse University and you got your degree in biology.
I did.
So how does that fit with basketball, and what happened there?
Okay, so we'll talk about cultural norms. So I am first-born American in the United States, and my parents are both Nigerian. And so I don't want to like put the Nigerian culture in one under one umbrella, but typically you are either, to be very successful, you're either a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, and you fill those buckets. And so at the time when I was going to Syracuse, I got a full scholarship to play there, and academically was just as strong. And they didn't have a pre-med program. So I thought, okay, biology was the closest thing, and I majored in biology. Great thing for me was biology exposed me to other arts and sciences platforms, which was, as I mentioned before, anthropology. Loved it. People, cultures of the world. I just loved understanding and learning about things outside of myself. And I resonated with that major. I should have minored it in, because my life is that of anthropology, right? In Nigeria, I'm considered American. In America, I'm considered like Nigerian. So I'm always trying to find my footing in space in the world. But that allows me to be very open and have an open perspective to other cultures and how they do things and some of their practices and who they are as people, their food, for example, which I love. And so that's kind of how that started and how it finished, right? Because I got a bachelor's of science in biology. And do I use it? Sometimes here and there. But then that propelled into something far more when we talk about my professional career, because I got the opportunity to play internationally all over the world. 6 years in Spain, 3 years in Poland. I played in the World Championship Games in Brazil, South American Championship Games in Chile, and then I finalized my career in Israel in 2016. So, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes.
You see how the envoy piece just fit right in there. Like I was supposed to be an envoy. So, yeah.
Exactly. It was a natural progression for you.
Exactly. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, speaking of, you touched on some points here that actually fit in with the topic of the Thai seminar that we were at together, American Identity.
Yeah.
And
I don't
yeah. So yeah, what does American Identity mean to you?
American Identity means an eclectic group of, or a mixture of cultures, right? There's not one specific thing. We are a combination of different aspects and pieces. And when we think about a team, right, everybody has their role. And separately, it's hard to win and work towards a common goal. But as one, we make something far greater, and it's easier to reach that goal. And so I think of America in that way. There's not one specific thing that defines us, but everything that everyone brings with that eclectic group of different cultures and views is what makes up America, right? In my household, we are very much Nigerian American. We ate Nigerian food and practice cultures that our culture that my parents brought from Nigeria. And I have friends who are from India and they have the same thing under their households. And, I have friends who are from Bosnia and they have the same under their household. And so for me, America just means a place where everyone is included. Inclusivity, breaking down those barriers of racial discrimination and seeing people as people, which is part of the job that I do at Peace Players as well. But that's what America, from my definition, means. What we should honor, the people we should honor, the cultures we should lift up, and we should acknowledge. And so America is just a lot of different amazing cultures and people who've come together to make this the nation that it is. So, yeah.
Yes. United we stand.
Yes, absolutely. That's it in a nutshell.
Yes. So tell us more about your role at Peace Players and the work you do there.
Absolutely. So I am the director at Peace Players Baltimore. We work specifically in the city, and I've mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. We are using the transformative power of sport to bridge divides in historically conflicted communities. Peace Players started in 2001 under the premise that if we can play together, we can live together in South Africa. And then we went to Northern Ireland. And so in Northern Ireland, we were connecting the Catholics and the Protestants, and then we moved to the Middle East with the Palestinians and the Israelis, and then we moved to Cyprus with the Greek Cypriots and the Turkish Cypriots, and we're connecting those communities. And then we, in 2017, came over officially to the US, where we're working in Baltimore, Chicago, Brooklyn, Detroit, and LA. Baltimore specifically, where I oversee the program, we are working on uniting East and West Baltimore. That's where we see the biggest divide, connecting the black butterfly. You'll have to do your history to know what the black butterfly is, but there's a black butterfly and the white L, and that is just, those are remnants of redlining. And so to know what redlining is, racial discrimination, and how that's been embedded into our system, and that systemic racism, it's still really prevalent in Baltimore, and that's what divides East and West Baltimore. My job is to provide equitable experiences, equip kids with tools to mitigate conflict, and really teach them to be peace ambassadors at home, in their communities, in school, and really have the core characteristics that we teach on the court transcend past the court, hoping that they will become a group-led, youth-led leaders and work towards a more peaceful and equitable world. So we use that with basketball, and we do it in a quite unique way. If you want to learn more, go to www.peaceplayers.org, and you can learn more there about what we do. So, yeah.
And you can also listen to your podcast, right? Play It Forward.
Yeah, listen to the podcast where I'm the host, the Play It Forward podcast, where we talk about sports, its social impact, and sports as a tool for social justice as well. So, yeah, Play It Forward podcast on any platform where podcasts are listened to. You'll hear me and my co-host, Emmett Shepard, talk about how we use sports, the transformative power of sports, or how sports is a medium to talk about things otherwise not addressed in the room, and how, when we're working towards a common goal, everyone seems to forget their differences, and, they want to achieve the best thing, and sports helps us do that. So, yeah.
It does. Yes. So we do have some more questions for you, just a few more, because I know you have limited time and don't want to keep you. But how have you been able to combine your passion for basketball and interest in youth development to grow the impact of Peace Players?
Right. So I think it's always a part of me. As a professional athlete, I would always be the person who would stay after and sign every single autograph just because I wanted to be able to do more than what they saw us do on the court. I would be the person that volunteered for community service, even though I didn't speak the language. I would have a translator on the side, and I would put kids through clinics, and then we would correlate that to how we can just be better leaders. And I think that transcends right into what I'm doing with Peace Players. It's not very hard, right? It's just kind of taking the same core characteristics that I had, and then moving and kind of leaning into that leadership as a director at Peace Players. We work with 3 core values, and those are seeing people as people, which means just seeing the humanity in others. That inside-outside transformation, it means when I'm in conflict with someone, going inside to making sure that I'm using the right lens to view this person as a person, and also to make sure that I'm not pointing the finger. What have I done to contribute to the conflict? And then the third value is culture of collaboration. We may be different and have different cultures and different views, but we can always find a middle ground where we can come together to work together towards a common goal. And so, with that journey, it's made my job really easy. What we found is that when Palestinians and Israelis are on the same team working towards that common goal, and maybe it might be to do an activity that requires teamwork, they're not thinking about their differences. They're thinking about this is the goal, let's work together. And you'll see kids from two different divides come together. And then as the programming goes on, and the weeks of programming goes on, and the teachings that they're getting, even though they think they're just having fun, you'll see organic relationships start to form. And so what I was doing on a more rudimentary level has now just been elevated to actually do the work that matters, that shifts perspectives, and hopefully breeds leaders who want to see change, specifically in Baltimore, see East and West come together. We did an event called our annual Mlk Event, and I strategically created it so that youth from West Baltimore, who oftentimes are not bused outside of their communities, had the opportunity to come over to East Baltimore. Now, when you hear about that, it's just like, oh, okay, that seems simple. But oftentimes when you talk to Baltimoreans from the city, it's like, oh, we don't go over to the East because, West Baltimoreans will say that about East Baltimoreans. And so I provided a space, free transportation. We bused the kids from West Baltimore over to East Baltimore, where we had this amazing clinic. And by amazing, I just mean there was a DJ, videographer, Chick-fil-A food, a marching band, different clinics, everything free, giveaways, shoes, anything you could think of, Nike headbands. They just had a really great time in the community on a Saturday event. Otherwise, they probably would not have had that experience. And then, strategically, on Sunday, I bussed all our youth from East Baltimore over to West Baltimore, and we cleaned up the community, Union Square, together. And they had tons of food and music, and kids were excited. Again, another environment created organically for youth to learn about each other, and also to transport youth outside of their own communities. Some of them have not left outside of Baltimore. And so by equitable experiences and the work that we do, we are strategic in ensuring that all our youth in our programs, our after school programs, our summer programs, our clinics have that exposure. And so I guess I've always been doing this, to answer your question. But this just provides a space for me to do it, hopefully in a more impactful way.
Wow. That sounds amazing. So it looks like we are just about out of time. So I have one last question. Before we go, Chinny, what would be your number one tip for helping young people trying to reach their full potential?
Be your most authentic and true self. That would be my number one tip. But specifically, do not use someone else's ruler to measure your life. You've been put here on earth to do exactly and only what you can do. And so lean all the way into that. Believe in yourself and continue to do the work that matters, because the work that matters serves something far greater than yourself. And that impact is immeasurable. So just be your most authentic self, and enjoy why you're here and your purpose, and work in that every single day. And surround yourself with people who will keep you accountable to do that work. Yeah, that would be my advice. And it's not advice that isn't followed by me. And I set goals, and I have great people, a really dynamic sounding board, and goals that I set for myself. And yeah, that's what I would share with anyone, more specifically with my younger self. So yeah.
Wow, that's great. Great advice. And thank you so much for being with us today, and for sharing so much of your story, and for sharing it several times with our team. It doesn't get old. It's great to hear about, and I feel like I've learned something new every time I talk to you.
Right. I really enjoy speaking with you, because you always add value to the conversation, and it's always extremely genuine. So thank you so much for just that great energy that you bring to conversations. It does help to open up and, have these conversations, although we've had these conversations about 5 times now, but no, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chinny, for being with us today. And a big thank you to you, our online viewers, for joining us too. Interested in learning more about Chinny and our other awesome Exchange alumni? Visit our website at alumni.state.gov. And you can also follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. And before we leave, I know that Chinny also has some places for you to follow.
Yes.
So tell us, Chinny.
You can learn more about Peace Players at www.peaceplayers.org. You can follow me on Chinny Loves Life at Twitter or Chinny_N on Instagram, just to learn about the work that I'm doing as an envoy and just as a human in the world. So it's a pleasure for all of you all. And if you want to listen to our podcast, which is the Play It Forward podcast, we are located on every major platform, and we have an Instagram page at the Play It Forward podcast.
That's great. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you for our next Mentor Talks.